In the heart of Europe, two mighty empires clashed. The year was 1593. The Ottoman Empire, a vast Islamic power, faced the Habsburg monarchy, champions of the Christian world. For over a century these titans had circled each other, their rivalry simmering. Now, that simmering tension boiled over into the Long War, a brutal conflict that would reshape the destiny of a continent. Imagine the clash of swords, the roar of cannons, the cries of soldiers on both sides. This was a war fought on a grand scale, a struggle for dominance in the heart of Europe. From the rolling plains of Hungary to the strategic fortresses that dotted the landscape, the fate of empires hung in the balance. The roots of the Long War ran deep. Religion fanned the flames of conflict. The Ottomans, followers of Islam, were determined to expand their empire and spread their faith. The Habsburgs, devout Catholics, saw themselves as defenders of Christendom against the Ottoman threat. But this was not just a war of religion. It was also a struggle for land and power. Both empires coveted the fertile lands of Hungary, a strategically vital region that lay between them. Control of Hungary meant control of trade routes, resources, and influence over the rest of Europe. The Ottomans had already conquered much of Hungary, but the Habsburgs were determined to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs. Hungary became the main battleground of the Long War. Its flat plains were ideal for the Ottomans' swift cavalry charges, while its numerous rivers and fortresses provided defensive positions for the Habsburgs. Both sides poured troops into the region, transforming Hungary into a vast and bloody chessboard, where the fate of empires was at stake. The war was characterized by brutal sieges and bloody battles. Fortresses changed hands multiple times, their walls scarred by cannon fire, and their grounds littered with the dead. The civilian population suffered immensely, caught between the hammer and anvil of two warring empires. One battle stands out as a pivotal moment in the Long War, the Battle of Keresztúr in 1596. The Christian forces led by the Habsburg Archduke Maximilian vastly outnumbered the Ottoman army. Victory seemed assured for the Habsburgs. They were confident in their superior numbers and firepower. But the Ottomans, under the skilled leadership of Sultan Mehmed III, had a surprise in store. They launched a devastating counterattack, catching the Habsburgs off guard. The Christian army, overconfident and disorganized, was routed. Thousands were killed, including many of their most experienced soldiers. It was a crushing defeat for the Habsburgs and a turning point in the war. Section 5. The Tide Turns, Ottoman Resurgence. The Ottoman victory at Keresztúr sent shockwaves across Europe. The myth of Habsburg invincibility was shattered. The Ottomans, reinvigorated by their triumph, pressed their advantage, pushing deeper into Habsburg territory. They laid siege to key fortresses and raided far and wide, spreading fear and uncertainty throughout the region. The Habsburgs, reeling from their defeat, struggled to regroup. Their resources were stretched thin, and their morale was low. The war, which had initially seemed like an opportunity to reclaim lost territory, was now a desperate struggle for survival. Section 6. Stalemate and Exhaustion. Despite their early successes, the Ottomans were unable to deliver a decisive blow. The Habsburgs, though weakened, were determined to resist. They poured more resources into the war, recruiting soldiers from across their vast empire and seeking alliances with other European powers who feared Ottoman expansion. Years of relentless fighting took their toll on both sides. Armies were depleted, treasuries emptied, and the land bled dry. The war had reached a stalemate, a bloody and exhausting deadlock that neither side seemed able to break. Section 7. The Treaty of Zsitvatorok, a new balance. By 1606, both the Ottomans and the Habsburgs were ready for peace. The long years of war had exhausted both empires. They were ready to negotiate a settlement. The Treaty of Zsitvatorok, signed in that year, brought an end to the Long War. The treaty, while not a decisive victory for either side, marked a significant shift in the balance of power in Europe. The Ottomans, though they had to relinquish some territory, retained control of much of Hungary, solidifying their position as a major power in the heart of the continent. Section 8. Shifting Sands Europe after the Long War. The Long War had a profound impact on the geopolitical landscape of Europe. It marked the high point of Ottoman expansion into Europe. It also revealed the growing strength of the Habsburg Empire. which, despite its setbacks, had demonstrated its resilience and determination. The war also had significant cultural and religious consequences. It intensified the divide between the Islamic Ottoman Empire and the Christian West, deepening existing prejudices and fostering a climate of suspicion and mistrust that would linger for centuries. Section 9. A legacy of change. The Long War was a clash of empires, a struggle for dominance that left a lasting legacy on Europe. It was a war fought on a vast scale, with brutal battles, devastating sieges, and unimaginable suffering for those caught in its path. Though the war ended in a stalemate, it had a profound impact on the balance of power in Europe. It marked the high point of Ottoman expansion, but it also revealed the growing strength of the Habsburg Empire. The war also intensified the religious and cultural divide between East and West, leaving a legacy of suspicion and mistrust that would echo for generations to come. What do you think were the most significant long-term consequences of the Long War? How did it shape the future of Europe?